in what he did in his interview with Alan Shipnick, do you think he was sacrificing himself for the fate of the PGA Tour?
I thought we only played Australians when there's Kikuya.
This does feel like it's against the grain. Hey everyone, welcome to Reading the Green and our golf DFS preview show. My name is Mike, Kyle, and Jordan here. It is Tuesday, March 1st. Reading the Green is a unique fantasy golf resource. It combines great player picks with insights on which fantasy experts actually give the best advice. The result is a bias-free approach that ensures you're not swayed by just one or two articles you read as you do your prep. You always know you can count on us for the consensus plays from your favorite DFS golf experts each week. If you like this approach, if you have fun listening to us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Reading the Green. Find our content on any podcast platform. And of course, follow us on Twitter at RTG Podcast DFS. This week, we have our Honda Classic recap. We will preview the Arnold Palmer Invitational and cover a couple other things going on in sports and everything else. So, guys, I literally just got off the plane from Florida with my family the last week and a half. Just got the plane a couple hours ago. I am greeted by, actually, since the weather was pretty good here, all the snow, I didn't even shovel my driveway and the snow all melted. So, sounds like maybe this isn't so bad.
Wait, you didn't shovel your driveway the whole time you were gone? Is that,
well,
isn't that against the rules? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I figured you'd get sued in Edina if you didn't do that.
Well, you know, but it melted quickly.
Yeah, it's been really nice. We've been outside. I love buzzing out of work at like 4:45, and spending a half hour outside now. It's
it's
light out until after 6. It's crazy.
Welcome back. Don't look at the weather for this weekend, though. It might scare you a little bit.
Well, I think, Jordan, you brought it up last week about just this time of year just really taunts the golfers in Minnesota. You know, I played a few rounds down in Florida. I know you played in Scottsdale a couple weeks ago. Kyle, you've been playing in your mind, I think, the last 2 weeks.
Been practicing the swing in the basement.
It's my game is not suited for like the 1 or 2 off winter rounds, especially when there's some money on the line. I got in with my father-in-law and in his group that he plays with at his club down in Florida. And, I get kind of harassed for having a low handicap, but then not having played since August. So I was trying to save some face a little bit through the round as I'm cruising to an 82 on Monday afternoon, but it's nice to get out there and swing.
Helping the handicap for the year.
I know, but by the time I play enough rounds, I'll probably just start playing good again, and my handicap won't be impacted. I need like 2 years of bad golf.
Yeah, so you just need to play like Kyle.
Yeah. So last week we talked about going to the simulator. We were supposed to go Friday, but guess who had to bail? Work got in the way, so unfortunately I won't be there. But we'll get that live recording at the sim happen sometime this spring.
Are you going, Mike? You going? You coming Friday?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I gotta decide what's more important: playing golf with you or going and getting a lesson.
Definitely me. Definitely, it's my last round with my old clubs.
Oh, right, that's right. We got the fitting coming up.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of things to hit on before we talk about the Honda. Real quick on swag golf. And I know we probably don't have a huge swag golf limited release head cover following in our listener audience quite yet. But Jordan, the debacle that was the big release this week that had us all checking our devices constantly. We're still waiting on it.
Big, the release of the year. They partnered with Saks Fifth Avenue, which, if you think of a broy golf company, who better to partner with than Saks Fifth Avenue? No, they teased it for 4 days? Like something coming at sunrise or sunset, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they finally said yesterday it'll be between 12 and 7 a.m. Sometime between 12 and 7 a.m., 50 products are going to go live on Saks' website. Well, 0 products went live. And still today, at this point, 0 products have gone live. Total technology mishap by the Saks team, not getting anything up. I'm sure the swag team was more than a little upset about this, as people were tweeting that they stayed up all night refreshing every couple of seconds. And like that takes dedication. I was there at midnight. I fell asleep maybe 12:15, 12:30. Woke up once in the middle of the night. I was like, I'll go refresh my phone, see if anything's up. Nothing. And then I was like, okay.
So someone posted, right? But they showed not in stock. So they teased some products, right?
Yeah.
And then
like
they were
30. They teased 30 of the like 80 items or something.
And then some they teased weren't even the right ones.
Yes. Yeah, they posted this six cover set, which why would anyone ever sell a 6 cover?
I don't know. You should play golf with the senior crowd. They have a lot of mittens on their heads, cover, their bags.
Those 7 woods and 9 woods.
Yeah, or iron covers aren't allowed. That's for sure.
Well, we gotta talk to Aaron. Yes, Swag should do a set of iron covers for Aaron Rye.
They make those pretty hard. Those and visors are the 2 things they've said they'd never make.
All right. Well, I think so. There's some drama. We have no idea when we're going to get that big release, and so I guess maybe in a couple weeks we'll have something to read out to the group here. But it as much as I want to geek out about the retail e-commerce technology fail here. This is not that type of podcast, so we're gonna save everyone from that.
Yes, including Kyle.
It's pretty wild. On a different note, I had a hot take this weekend, and I want to hear what you guys think. Do you think that Phil, in what he did in his interview with Alan Shipnick, do you think he was sacrificing himself for the fate of the PGA Tour and basically saying, like, I'm going to make it so that nobody is going to go to the Saudi League by totally just bashing them? I don't care if I lose all my sponsors. I'm in the twilight of my career. I don't need the money. I'm just going to ride off into the sunset, and I'm going to sacrifice myself to do this for the PGA Tour. Do you buy that? No, I haven't heard this. This is my take. Do you buy that?
I think you've been looking at Phil's calves a little too long.
Yeah.
I
hadn't heard that.
No,
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either. Phil seems to be pretty self-centered about certain things. I would doubt that he would be willing to lose 20-year sponsors for something like this.
I agree. That's just money that's just flowing into the bank account for very little effort.
Yes. And if it was actually planned, he would have had these conversations with them ahead of time.
Right.
Where then they could statements coming out of it. I think Phil, we always say a little more than we want to when we've had a couple beers. Was Phil a little drunk when he said this? Like, what?
Who knows?
What came over him to do this?
Doesn't Phil sponsor like a tequila brand? Maybe he had a little too much tequila.
I think he just started an Amstel relationship. So,
well, he lost it now, didn't he?
I know. I know. I don't know. I guess I was just trying to somehow rationalize what was going on with this, but I don't know when we're going to hear from Phil next. We might not.
So that's a good point, though. Like, so he won a major last year.
Mm-hmm.
So he has an invite to the Masters. He has an invite. He
has a lifetime exemption to the Masters because he's won it.
Yeah, but like, so is he going to show up at any of those events this year?
That is a great question. I haven't even thought about that.
For sure. Golf fans don't care.
Yeah.
Golf fans will cheer him like he's Phil, right? There's a big difference between corporate interests and the golf bro fans of Phil Mickelson.
if the first major was not the Masters, I could see him just skipping the first one just to let it die down and not have that be a thing right off the bat and then going to the rest.
Yeah.
But the first one being the Masters, it's kind of your creme de la creme, right?
Oh, yeah.
He'll be there. You're right. He'll be there. So you guys want to talk about the Honda Classic a little bit? I know that this was a little bit different feel than we've seen the first part of the year here. So we got away from the Birdie Fest. We had maybe a little bit weaker field than we've had the last couple of weeks, but winner Sepp Straka wins at 10 under. And he wins come from behind. I think he shot 67, I think, on Sunday, and on a day where Daniel Berger starts with a 5-shot lead and just kind of puts it in the bag, gives up that lead on the front 9, and it was kind of anyone's game the rest of the way.
So I was in a state this weekend that I could bet, right? So I get there Friday night late and text the group here, like, hey, who are some flyers? Berger's up there already. Would he have a 3-shot lead going into Saturday?
Into Saturday, yeah, I think it was 3.
Yeah, so I was looking at that next tier group, like, hey, who should we take? Mike chimed in with Chase Seifert, so threw a little bit on him. I think I took 4 guys at just small beans each. I took everyone on the leaderboard around Straka. He was the only guy I didn't take. I believe he was 5 shots back on Saturday, so I didn't take the 2 guys right behind Berger, and then took the next group down, and then the 2 right behind him. Didn't take Straka, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had 0 Straka, and I had 0 success this weekend with my picks. So what's the next tournament? Let's move on now.
Yeah, I know. We got a couple of things we got to cover, but I think overall in the weekend, I think I was saved by Louis coming back with a 65 after his opening 75. We were actually kind of cuffing out Pat Mayo with his Oosthuizen Michael Thompson picks, and Thompson is the one that ends up missing the cut, and Oosthuizen comes back in and makes the cut. He didn't have a great weekend, but I think that helped me in a couple of cash games where I was angering on him. But yeah, Sepp Straka, he was in our model, but not someone. I think he had one expert was on Sepp, and so we gave a shout out to, I think that was Fantasy Labs that had the lone Sepp play this week. One other thing just to call out, I didn't realize that Chase Seifert was on the Florida State team with Berger and Koepka. And I think even maybe I didn't even know that Berger and Koepka were on the same team until the Ryder Cup this past year, when people are making a big deal about them being former college teammates at Florida State. But Seifert was on that team too. So kind of cool. It's just some of these college programs just churn out PGA Tour pros. Yep.
And they're all in the South. A few stragglers from Minnesota. I think Illinois has had a few, right? Like, you can't golf year round.
It's hard to recruit. Yeah, it's hard to recruit.
The one that always amazes me is Oklahoma State, especially lately. There's no PGA events in Oklahoma, right? But you got a lot of guys that are Oklahoma State alum.
They've been a solid program for a long time. I mean, Ricky obviously being a guy that came out of there, a while ago. But so on our listener league, so kind of run through some of the results here for the Honda Classic. Our listener league, Spicy 1 runs away with it. Monster lineup, 6 made cuts. No one else could really touch him this week. JY Sadi, a past listener league weekly champion, takes 2nd place, and then a nice bounce back week by P. Koziak 3 after finishing in last with Matt Fitzpatrick last week, not playing, but comes back to grab 3rd. So another good listener league. We'll tout it again and how you can join the second half of the show here, but we'd like to be able to engage with our listeners and play DraftKings with them. Talked a little bit about our lineups. It was an okay week. I think we had a couple of landmines. Sung JM was at the top of our model, but had one of our weakest power index scores. And so I don't think I had a single share of him. And I guess I wasn't really surprised he missed the cut, even though this is a place that he's dominated in the past. And he's popping again in the model for Arnold Palmer. I don't know. I don't know that I'm really feeling Sungjae this time of year.
We'll have to talk about that a little bit, Mike.
Okay.
All right. This past week, you're right. I was not on him much either. I think I had one of my cascading core pivots is all, but stayed away from him in cash, and that worked out well.
Perfect. As far as our contributors go, Fantasy Pros took the top spot. They've had a very good 2022 in the RTG model. Berger, Horschel, and Hughes would have made a nice core. Obviously an expensive core, but 3 really good plays there. We also tweeted out that the Awesemo cheat sheet, which gives 10 plays every week, made 8 of 10 cuts, and so that was a nice spot to get some advice this week. Not one we're normally looking at, but we'll certainly take a closer look going forward and see if they can turn some of their performance around. So any other thoughts, guys, on the Honda Classic? Oh, I guess I had one other thing, was the weather conditions. It was really crazy. I don't think we've seen a rain cloud in any tournament in the last 2 months on the PGA Tour, between Hawaii and Southern California. And then all of a sudden, Shane Lowry needs to come up with birdie on one of the last 2 holes, and he has to play them in just torrential downpour. Fortunately, Straka got to hit his approach shot before it got a little, too rainy. But so Lowry doesn't get it done, and Straka's able to hang on with the 1-shot lead.
I think you tweeted this out, Mike, but it was nice to see a little bit different of the tournament, right? Different event, different course conditions, different setups, different weather. It's just nice little change up. A couple other things I had is, Daniel Berger. I just didn't have enough. He was really popping on our model from a MPI standpoint, a little bit of a mention share standpoint, a little bit of suppress in the MPI, but just wanted to mention some of the plays that were on him. RotoWire, Awesemo cheat sheet, Fantasy Pros, Fantasy Data, Rick Rungood over at Golf Digest, The Athletic, RotoBaller, Odds Checker, Joe Idone. He's somebody I wish I had more of last week, and I should have had more of given our model. So it was one of the takeaways for me. And then, hey, we've mentioned him a couple times already, but Chase Seifert, got to give a shout out to our Batman Derek for the eagle eye, noticing that he was a top 30 play in Vegas, but was not anywhere near that from a cash perspective in DraftKings, and obviously would have been a great addition to lineups this past week. And then lastly, guys, I need to break up with someone. It's not them, it's me, but I just can't have Aaron Wise in my lineups anymore. 3 out of the last 5 weeks, he has absolutely destroyed me, and I got to stay away. I love her model, and it tells me to play him. I just can't do it. I have to stay away.
It's interesting because you had the Koepka bucket for these reasons, where you could place players and save them for big events. Aaron Wise doesn't have the pedigree that Brooks Koepka has to pull him out for big tournaments. So I kind of feel like this is permanent. It
is. I need to see a sustained month of success before I play him again. It's that severe. I mean, he had a decent mention share last week, kind of middling MPI, but I do like his pedigree, but sorry, Aaron, we're done.
We'll hold you to that.
That's not your first breakup, Kyle. You can tell you've done that before. I like it was well.
That was very nicely said. All right, well, that can kind of wrap up the Honda Classic. Jordan, you just ran to the fridge to get another beer. What'd you go get?
I picked up a Hazy IPA from Bale Breaker out in the Seattle area. They are partners with a friend that owns and runs Yonder Cider, and now Bale Breaker and Yonder have built a brewery together, or like a cidery/brewery brew pub in Seattle. So shout out to Yonder Cider because they're my peeps. But it's it's decent. I hope the rest of their beer is better than this one.
They're not the same company. They're just
not the
they're
same company.
Okay.
Yes. So if a lot of times you go to, yes, but you like go to a brewery and you've got people that don't like beer, right?
Sure.
So you're sort of SOL. So they did this giant joint complex that is beer and all of Yonder cider, which is delicious. If you haven't, you can order it online if you want to. But no, it's decent. It's not something that I would seek out. It's no Modest or Fair State.
Kyle,
I finally have some new brews over here. I have DDH Hooey, double dry hopped Hooey from Lupulin tonight.
Very jealous of that.
Yeah, it's delicious. I would highly recommend picking some up. Lupulin Brewery in Big Lake, Minnesota.
Yes, I will need to do that. The can's a little different this year, it looks like. Last year they had like a really like shiny fluorescent can. Yeah, that looks awesome. I'll have to go find that. I have a Treehouse. I don't have the can in front of me. I have 2 IPAs left from Treehouse, and this was one of them. The other one I'm saving for you guys when we can, share it in person. But pretty much everything they make is gold. Nice. And so shout out to my buddy that mules hundreds of cans back from Massachusetts to Minnesota every year, and I'm able to peel off a couple. So
that's awesome.
Anyways, yeah, let's take a break. And we'll come back and talk about the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. Welcome back. We have our Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill preview. But first, the Reading the Green Listener League is available to all of our listeners every week on DraftKings. We have a league set up where we can invite listeners to join us in we'll call it small stakes golf DFS event. It's great to be able to engage their friends and family and meet some new folks who like to listen to the podcast every week and play DraftKings with us. So please tweet at us if you would like the invite to join the Listener League, and we will post the link out sometime late on Wednesday and try to fill out our fields each week. So, guys, the Florida swing continues. The PGA Tour moves to Bay Hill in the Orlando, Florida area. Last year, Bryson won in a duel with Lee Westwood. That was super exciting. Bryson just being Bryson and hitting ridiculous drives all over the golf course. But then got it done with some of his finesse game and ended up edging Westwood, who certainly had become a bit of a fan favorite in Florida last year. Pretty good field this year. I don't have the exact numbers on world ranking participants, but a lot of especially top ranking international players often attracted to a lot of the Florida events. And so I think we'll see some pretty good play this week. A couple of talking points about the event and some stuff going around the event. Bryson, did you guys watch the video he put on Instagram? Obviously some excellent commentary. Excellent. I love the internet. I love Twitter for certain things. The commentary on Bryson's video this week was just excellent. They said you could, if you shut the sound off and just imagine him apologizing to his parents or trying to explain to his parents why his car smells like weed. He looked like a teenager trying to explain that one. Someone commented that he was wearing the same outfit the last time he did a weird Instagram video to try to pump people up. Exact same shirt, exact same hat. So I don't know what's going on with Bryson, but I think probably the weirdest is this rumor that his hand was cut off by the Saudis after backing out of the SGL.
I did see that one as well. It's a weird where the video is cropped off is weird, and that tweet was classic. Like, tell me his hands is still there because you can't see his hands, and yeah, I laughed, I giggled.
I don't know. It is kind of a bummer that he's not playing. But then again, we all were good with him just kind of walking off the face of the earth last year, or last week.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Especially this event last year, I felt like the Bryson effect was like overdone almost.
I mean, he did have a sand wedge into a par 5.
So what? Remind me. Well, is it 6 when
6? Yeah, you can hit it. If you carry it like 330 over the corner.
And
yeah,
something about last year at this event. I'm just okay, Bryson.
Well, I think that's why Westwood, who was it? I don't know if it was the Honda in Bay Hill or Bay Hill in the following week, but he had a couple of really good weeks, and people were really pulling for him. I probably to be Bryson last year, but ultimately Bryson was the defending champ. Something that first, minor correction, Jordan. Thank you for bringing it up. It wasn't Fantasy Labs that had the lone Sepp Straka play. It was Fantasy Data, and their 15 picks for the Honda Classic. So apologies there. Fantasy Data was on Sepp Straka. We were talking about this a little bit off air during the break. Bermuda Greens. So the PG, we're in Florida, plenty of Bermuda grass. And I was asking you guys, you obviously got an index on guys that putt well, and we'll get into this with some of the players that we're going to be picking, but guys that putt well in Bermuda. But then I said, do you know why Bermuda is, why there's a premium on how players can play those greens? And it's very, similar to a lot, a number of different surfaces. We talked about POA a little bit and sort of being bumpy and the grass grows different directions. Bermuda does that too, but it's more consistent throughout the green. So the grain grows in one direction, grows in one direction on different parts of the green, big sections of the green. And so you can have putts that are solidly into the grain, in which the putt is probably going to bounce a little more. It's going to be certainly slower. You can have putts that are down grain, and they might roll out a whole foot more because they are now down grain. And you can see it, like watch for it on TV. You can see the shiny parts of the green are down grain. And so I think that there's just an ability for certain players to navigate that. First of all, just seeing it, being able to recognize it, and then calibrating to what the effect is going to have on that putt. So do I got to hit a little harder? Do I got to play a little more break, less break? Some guys are just better at it. And so that's why you hear about like Sam Burns or Patrick Rogers being Bermuda specialists. Maybe they grew up playing on it. Maybe they just had a lot of success. Denny McCarthy, same way. But that's the lesson. So when I was down and playing in Florida too, like it does kind of throw you for a loop, because you can look at a putt and say, hey, that breaks a ball left to right, but because the grain's going the other way, it actually is straight. And so there's an element of learning how to calibrate against that.
Perhaps a dumb question. So obviously I know POA, you have bent grass, you have Bermuda. How many other grasses are on greens in the PGA Tour?
That's probably the majority of it. I mean, most of your Midwest courses are going to be played on bent grass. There's plenty of Bermuda in the Southeast and then in California, and then also a lot of POA POA is just like a weed, right? It just like most of the golf courses in the Midwest that we would play might be bent grass, but then all of a sudden like the POA seed gets in there and it just sort of like infiltrates the greens. And the only way to get it out is to burn the greens down and just start over.
So how does the POA get there? Is it like zebra mussels? Do we need a cleaning booth as you walk off of any course?
So there are, I'm not kidding, and I've seen this. There'll be like, if a course is trying to prevent POA from creeping in onto its greens, there'll be like cleat scrapers. So you go scrape your shoes, because like the seeds from the POA can get on your shoes and you can carry it down to the green from like the fairway onto the green. And then all of a sudden it's just in. So yes, it is like zebra mussels. It just sort of like travels on stuff. But golf courses, so when like regrassing, for example, which is really prominent among high-end golf courses now, where you just burn the whole golf course to the ground and start over. Part of that is to get rid of POA. And once you eliminate it from the whole property, you have a pretty good chance of keeping it out of your greens. Poa is not bad. It's hard to maintain. It's hard to make it pristine because it grows so fast within the day.
I'll now call Poa greens Asian carp greens.
There we go. Yeah. We got our two other invasive species here. Carp and zebra mussels.
Well, we are way off track. I wanted to give a little tidbit on why Bermuda Greens.
So last week we went very long because we went on a lot of tangents. This week we hadn't gone on many tangents yet. We had to go on one. So
okay, that was one. Yeah. We got way too deep into invasive species. Okay, so let's get back to the Bay Hill preview. Kyle, why don't you start? I know you got a couple of takes you want to make on some core plays. So why don't you start with first where the model is pointing and some of the top plays that we're seeing in general, and then where you're looking to start your lineups this week.
Yeah, so I'll mention the top 7 from a mention share standpoint and the model at this point in time. And given where we normally are on Tuesday night, we have almost everyone in. Just a couple more we're waiting for at this point. So Paul Casey's taking the lead at this point, 53% mention share. We have Rory, who has some great course history here, coming at 47%, and then a whole bunch of guys at the 36% price point. So Matt Fitzpatrick, Sanjay, Keith Mitchell, Cameron Young, Chris Kirk. So you have a little bit of a mixed bag there of guys on great form and guys that have great history here. So I'll use that group to start off with some of my plays. So Sanjay, I know he missed the cut last week. I know he burned some people, but we're getting a little bit of a price break at this point. So he's down to 9,900 this week because of that last week. Great course history here. It's coming at 36% mention share. His MPI is a little middling, so I don't know if he's going to be an all-in guy for me, but he's certainly going to be in some of my lineups. And then the guy at the top I mentioned, Paul Casey, 53% mention share. So the highest on our board. Again, his MPI is a little middling, but you can't ignore that 53%. So he will certainly be a part of my cash games. I probably will pivot elsewhere in GPP with that high of mention, but certainly playing him in cash. And then an anchor for me is going to be my third play this week, going down to Will the Thrill, Will Zalatoris, 30% mention share, and coming in with a rock star MPI at this point. So he's someone I'm going to have a lot of.
That's great. I do think we are seeing a nice mixture of price points in our model this week at the top. So you will be able to fit in a lot of the consensus plays this week. Jordan, what do you want to add to that?
I was gonna say, I brought it up during our break. Like this is a weird week for the sheet because how you did the math. You can almost get the top 6 people in mentions. Can't quite. You're a couple like $1,300 over something, but every other week this year it's been all the 11,000 guys at the top, or the 10 and 11,000 guys, and you could maybe pick one of them and then go down 3 or 4 spots. But now here it's Paul Casey, McElroy, Fitzpatrick, Mitchell, Cameron Young, and they've all been playing well, other than Sungjae last week. But I think we're hoping that was a fluke, and assuming that was more of a fluke. But so I'm going straight. No stupid gimmicks this week, guys. No picture people, no Olympic things. I'm going with the sheet. Casey, McElroy, Fitzpatrick, Mitchell, Young, and Willett. There's my lineup. I'm gonna tell you right now, listeners, you're in the listener contest and you have that one. We'll have the same points.
Well, that gets to the sneaky Danny Willett play. I mean, he's certainly popped in at the top of the power index rankings, and then has some decent love at about 30% of the mention share, $6,400. So you're getting certainly a great price break. Has good course history here. I think the Brits have played well in this tournament, and then you throw Rory McIlroy into that mix. And so you have a lot of a number of guys to pick from here. You know, Tyrrell Hatton was the champ a couple of years ago as well. I think from my end, to add to that mix, I like Will Zalatoris too. I think he's flying under the radar a little bit. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, 9,400. If he was like 8,900, I think that would be a perfect spot to hammer him. He's flashed a little bit earlier this season, but feel like he's a bit under the radar. And then obviously, Fitzpatrick is a guy I want to go back to. I feel like we have forgotten about him a little bit. He had a couple of nice events early on, and then he had that stomach ache that kept him out of the Genesis, I think. And so I want to go back.
Tummy aches are the worst.
Hey man, I've been there on the golf course. It's every swing. You're just you feel like you break into the extra underwear.
No, you know who's been there before? It's Kyle.
Well, and I was there with Kyle.
That was not even a lactose intolerance event either. That was a legit sickness. But yeah, not great on the golf course, guys.
The other comment I had, Cameron Young is up here. He's up here with 35% of the love this week. And I didn't know about this guy 3-4 weeks ago, but he's been playing great golf, and I think it sounds like our experts want to keep riding that wave. He's going to be sticking around. So I don't know. I probably sprinkle a little bit of Cameron Young in this week too.
Yeah, and you mentioned our experts, Mike, and that's always the source of our data. And so I want to highlight some of the guys that have been doing well for us and the ones that are driving some of these plays. So Pat Mayo puts out his 2 picks based on strokes gained data every week. That is pointing to Zalatoris and Willett, and that's one of the reasons they're popping high on MPI for us. And then a guy that we really had success with last year that has been struggling, but hey, it's had a couple of good weeks with Jason Sobel. He is on the Paul Casey train. And then I wanted to mention this second one, because it's kind of a deep play. If you're really struggling and need somebody at $6,400, he's on Min Woo Lee this week. I will say he's our only mention, so take that with a grain of salt, but that's quite the play to give out when you're only giving out 2 picks.
And you know what? Every week we see we're always trying to give respect for the contributors that are the lone mention for a guy that plays well. And we had that in Phoenix with Begala. We had it last week with Straka. So there's always got to be one. And why can't it be Minwoo?
Yeah,
I appreciate going out on a limb.
So Mike, you said the Brits play well here. And you also, we talked for 5 minutes about Bermuda grass. Is there a lot of Bermuda grass in England?
I think it's fescue. I think most of their greens are fescue. And so if you go play like
But they play similar? That's what I'm like?
I don't it's a good question.
Is that a connection I'm trying to make here to help me this week?
It's possible. I mean, the only place I've played fescue, because I've never played in the UK, but in Bandon, they have fescue greens, and it's basically just like shorter fairways. They lay flat, and yeah, maybe it does play somewhere. It's a good question. We might want to dig into that a little bit. But the Brits do have a good track record, a number of them at Bale.
So
right, maybe I'll do an all Brits lineup.
It's like, hey, Kyle, and I know this is in the notes. It's like having an all Aussie lineup on a Kikuyu course.
Hey, you're skipping ahead here. I have one more thing on fescue though. So I worked at a golf course growing up. So I was part of the greens crew in high school and stuff. Our greenskeeper had a dog named Fescue. That was his dog. And when his dog passed away, we buried it under a tree in hole 6.
Good.
But he had a dog named after grass.
But
he's a superintendent.
Yeah.
Do the members at that club know that, or is this now coming out? Are you gonna get phone calls about number 6 and like the extra green spot right under that tree?
Well, it was so the dog was buried like on the side of the pond, so it wasn't. I think it's well known. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, Kyle. Do you want to talk about tiers?
All right. Well, this week I was going to talk about tier 3. So, to your point, Mike, at tier 3 we got a couple names of interest there: Mark Leishman, Max Homa, Tyrell Hatton, who has some good course history here. Sam Burns has been up and down, but you mentioned him as a putter on these type of greens. And Billy Horschel, who usually plays pretty well in the Florida swing. At this time, our model is popping with Mark Leishman from a mention share standpoint. So I was going to ask, like, is there any Kikuyu grass here? I thought we only played Australians when there's Kikuyu.
This does feel like it's against the grain.
The other one I would look at outside of Leishman, if you're having a little bit of heartburn there, is maybe Max Homa because of his course history here. Our MPI does like him a little better, but he has substantially less mention share at this point.
You ever pick someone and they always do okay for you, and you never pick them like, man, Mark friggin' Leishman is on my squad this week. He makes his cuts, he does it. There's just like I've got him in my tiers right now, and I'm just like, yeah, well, Mark Leishman.
Yeah, you're not super excited about it, but like you said, if he's a guy that's gonna help get cash a ticket, you can't really complain.
You bring that up. Like Shane Lowry is kind of that guy for me. And granted, I didn't have him at all last week. I've been on him a lot, I would say, in the last 9 months. I just can never pick that week he pops in the top 10. I feel like I've gotten a lot of top 40s, a lot of missing cuts on the number. I cannot hit that hey, I'm in contention, just missed a putt in the rainstorm, Shane Lowry, unfortunately.
Kyle, I'm surprised you didn't bring up tier 6. So if you want to talk about a dumpster fire of a tier, let's talk about tier 6. We've got one guy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the tier, and only one of them has a single mention in our entire model across however many contributors. Gary Woodland. But like you look at the rest of the tier, Matthew Wolf. Is anyone going to be taking Matthew Wolf? If you want a low, very low ownership, take Matthew Wolf. He might.
What did he shoot? What did he shoot last week? 82 or something like that.
Yeah, that would have been me. It's such a weird, like, normally there's at least a couple of choices. Given I went Woodland last week a fair amount, which turned out okay because he made the cut and whatnot. I'm going back to Thagala. He's my tier 6 guy this week.
So Jordan, you're saying take Wolf if you want to be a lone wolf.
Jeez, you two are fired.
Yeah, the title of this.
I'm the bad joke guy. Okay, guys, don't try and steal my bad jokes. I'm meat sauce here. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the title of this podcast is going to be something about something punny. We'll have to figure that out. All right. Anything else from the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
As always, we'll get out our final picks tomorrow. Like we said, we have most of the contributors in at this point, so we have a pretty good idea of where we're looking, but stand by on our Twitter feed.
Yeah, look for that infographic sometime later in the afternoon. And so with that, I think we can wrap up the talk on golf. Guys, anything else just going on in the world of sports that you want to hit on before we close things out for the night?
Wish the Minnesota Wild would start playing a little better again, huh?
I don't, this
We're
is a
Minnesota.
Minnesota Wild podcast, so I don't know that. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there that are very happy with the way the Minnesota Wild are playing.
No, we're Minnesotan. You can't go too long without saying something about hockey.
Let's talk about the better pro team in town right now, the Timberwolves. Getting stuff done. They're in the playoffs. Well, they're in the playoff, like the playoff at the moment. I don't know if you guys, I know neither of you are big basketball fans, but beat Golden State tonight, beat Cleveland in a nail biter last night. Like they're actually a legit basketball team, which is weird to say because they're normally not. And they had that weird GM Stuppen, somebody that worked for him right like a week before the season started, and he got fired. But like they seem to be pulling it together.
So you brought them up, and the first thing I did is grab my phone to try to see how they're doing because I have no idea.
They're seventh. They're seventh in the West. They are 7 games ahead of the 9th seed, which are the Lakers. And I think it's now the top 10 make the play-in series. I think 10
that's
plays
right.
7.
It's a different format now.
Yeah, 10
Yeah, so
plays
it's
7.
important to get to 6, though, no?
Yes, yes, it is. They're
Looks like they're 3 games back.
Yes, because
Denver.
They've lost 4 more and won 2 less. So they've actually played 2 more games and have a worse record. But
Kyle, without going into it, and thank you, Jordan, for the Timberwolves update. I had no idea, to be honest.
Yeah.
No idea where they stood.
The NBA playoff Minnesota Timberwolves. Think about that.
Right. Yes. The MLB canceled the first 2 series of their scheduled season.
Correct.
And I know you said it would take us hours to sort of get through your takes on sort of the labor crisis here with the Major League Baseball, but just what's like the 2-minute breakdown of, so no baseball for at least the first couple weekends, but it sounds like it's going to be worse than that.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. So initially MLB had set a deadline of yesterday. They negotiated supposedly till 3 a.m. last night. MLB put out a lot of verbiage around, leaked to reporters and whatnot that they thought they were close and good spot. Players Association kind of disputed that. And then today, then the MLB gave a 1-day extension to 5 p.m. today and had a press conference scheduled at 5 o'clock. So, they gave their best and final at 3 o'clock. And from not, without getting in the weeds, it basically went backwards from where the players have been, which doesn't really make sense given how revenues have grown. You would think they would need to share in those revenues, but yeah, so it does not look promising at this point in time. Maybe canceling the games can get things started here in the next week, but
yeah,
the thing that bothers me the most about all of it is they went 60 days without even meeting or exchanging proposals back through December and parts of January when things like they had all that time. And then, they met every day last week. But,
Kyle, it's tough these days. Like the Pony Express, it's with the snow and stuff. Wagons and horses can't make it between these people. That's why they didn't talk for 60 days.
They must have sent their proposal via carrier pigeon, and it got lost.
And can we talk about what a nothing move 2 series is? So we're canceling the first, right? Oh, let me make this. It was 2
It's the
series,
first week.
right? First week,
Yeah.
You're canceling 7 days worth of games, right? Like there's 162 of these, and you're canceling 6 of them. Like, let's make it sound like it's really important, but no one cares.
Well, hey, I'm a big baseball guy, so it I would say it is impactful for me, but there's not very many of me left. So they're just
is it only impactful? Is it only
Yeah.
impactful because it makes it harder for you to get the Ironman this year now? The DraftKings Iron Man.
Baseball's really hard. I kind of gave up on DraftKings for that. I just enjoy baseball.
Here's what we need. We need baseball for. We need baseball to get us from like mid-June to the end of August of the sports abyss season. When we get out of NHL, we get out of NBA. We still have golf, but in our majors are over mid-July for golf. So like that's what we rely on baseball for to get us through July and August. And so maybe they can just have like a 2-month season. That'd be fine.
Yeah, you guys are killing me. Need baseball. Need a full season.
People wonder why no one cares about baseball. It's because it's 9 months long, and you got to be done before football season starts. Sorry, America's pastime now third behind football and basketball. Maybe basketball. I don't know. Not like baseball. There are empty stadiums everywhere, right? It's baseball. I enjoy being at a
killing Kyle right now.
You're killing me inside. Is there anything better going to Target Field or Wrigley Field and going to have a couple of beers watching a game?
No, because, I would go there just to hang out with my friends and drink beer, even if it wasn't baseball. So putting baseball on the field doesn't really, like, you put a NFL game up on the Jumbotron, I would have just as much fun in Target Field as I would watching a baseball game.
All right, let's. This went down the wrong.
We might struck some chords here.
Mike, we need to do a screenshot of Kyle's face right there and have it be this week's pod image because he was very distraught by that statement that I just said.
Let me step in and just transition this to the conclusion so that we can save our friendships here. So we have our picks in for the Arnold Palmer. We're excited to tune into that at the end of this week. Reach out to join our listener league. We want to be able to grow that each and every week and have a ton of fun playing fantasy golf on DraftKings with our listeners. We will send our final recommended plays and the listener league sign up link later in the day on Wednesday. Remember, follow us on YouTube, any of the podcast platforms, and on Twitter at RTG Podcast. And we will catch up next week to have the results for the Arnold Palmer Invitational and preview the Players Championship the following week. See ya.